Hello and welcome back to the Q&A. So as always, you can leave a question in the video comments or on the Reddit thread for this video. I recommend Reddit because it's just better than YouTube comments. Anyway, so a lot of today's questions are going to be about garrisons and yeah, just Warlords of Draenor in general, so it should be quite an interesting little show. First of all, we have a question from the original Flutterbat, who basically, it was a long comment, so I just need to summarize it down. But he basically had the idea of, as you upgrade your garrison, it kind of goes through different phases, so just different levels of development, and they are, in his idea, going to be marked by different quests and missions. So, for an example, you could be fighting some local forces to establish your garrison, then later on after it grows a bit, an allied commander comes up to you and says, hey, we need you to lead an assault here. Then it takes you into some sort of scenario with your followers, and then the development could, say, result in a large fight at the end with maybe you get a free level 95 follower with an epic weapon or something like that. So overall, I'm going to say, yeah, I actually do like the idea of little quests to mark occasions. One issue they could run into, though, is if these quests... Well, I guess there's no other way to do it other than a scenario, really. I had a bit of an issue with the way they handled story in the Thunder Isle, because all the key story elements were just locked behind a scenario, but I can't really, at least off the spur of the moment, come up with a better alternative, so I guess we'll just have to do it with a scenario. But it would be nice, they could... Well, first of all, for these scenarios that mark the development of the garrison, we already know the garrison's just going to be able to develop up to a certain point, so they really can funnel a lot of work into making some really, really awesome quests to send people on. You can do the quest with your followers, as an example, so they could have some sort of cool AI going on there, maybe a little bit of character development or something, and it could be rather interesting. Now, at the end, Flutterbat said that the development could, say, result in maybe a free level 95 follower with an epic weapon. I like the idea of you getting a free power boost for one of your followers or a new follower or something like that, but I think one of the things about followers is it's not that you build an attachment to them because of their story, but it's like an XCOM soldier. So I think in keeping in that spirit, instead of just handing you a new one that doesn't have his own story or her own story, I think I prefer the idea of one of your guys, you can like boost them up to a higher level, or maybe make them, I don't know, give them some sort of stat boost, give them a really epic weapon, but in general, some sort of garrison-based reward at the end would be nice. Overall, I think it's a nice idea, and then as we go on through patches, maybe they add some more things to the garrisons. Well, this is another example of an area where they could add more endgame content in a way that just sort of adds a nice quest that's fun that people get to do. It doesn't have an effect on like endgame balance or anything like that, it's just, hey, we added a new garrison quest in. So I think something like that would be really cool. Now, our second question is actually slightly related. It's from Casper, who says about the siege idea. If you don't know, by the way, the last episode we talked about basically a siege on your garrison. He said that they could make it so that your garrison would randomly be under siege, but no progress in relation to the siege would be made until you arrive. That means you can ignore it and do it later, or do it immediately. Basically, it's completely up to your own schedule. If you do decide to fight, though, and you're successful, you'll gain some rewards, like gold or something like that, and then if you ignore it, then nothing will happen. I think, yeah, he basically thinks that this would be great, and... Sorry for the jump cut there. Webcam decided to bollocks itself up. Anyway, so he finished off by saying that he likes the idea of, instead of just appearing in your calendar, like one of your followers who's like a mage or something ports over to you and tells you what's happened. I think that's a pretty cool idea, and really it's probably the thing that they would just roll into a quest system. It would be nice for it to feel a little bit more dynamic, though. The idea of a siege defense really is compelling, and hell, it would make a bit of an interesting horde mode, wouldn't it? Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. They can make like a little miniature horde mode style thing. They'd have to, of course, throw in some really interesting mechanics and make it so that things matter. Actually, I was watching a video, and I think I mentioned this like 2 or 3 weeks ago, of Lord of the Rings Online, and they have this epic battle system, and the example of the epic battle system was the Battle of Helm's Dyke. Now, that's the actual battle. It's not shown in the movies, but in the books, there's a dike before you reach Helm's Deep, and the actual main engagement was fought there, not in the castle itself, in Hornburg. But anyway, the in-game implementation in Lord of the Rings Online was really cool. You had a whole bunch of NPCs, including like commanders, archers, footmen, and you could give them certain orders, like to go in a defensive stance or an aggressive stance and various things like that, and then you had to basically protect the commanders, try to make sure your troops didn't die, and if you did that, then you would be able to win. So an idea like that for defending your garrison could be really nice. Yeah, I think there's so much that they can do with this garrison's idea that, well, hopefully they do end up using it, instead of just making it kind of like an underutilized thing like the farm was. Still, garrisons, I really am quite pumped up for them. Anyway, that also leads us into our next question from Gaming Xanus, and he says, yeah, do you think garrisons will be exclusive for this expansion, or will they be included in future expansions? Because it would be a bit weird if we had to start from scratch again. Good question, and I suppose it's kind of like similar question to the farm, just I suppose more important in terms of magnitude. The farm was a cool feature to some people enjoyed it, and it's no longer going to be a thing. Perhaps it might be rolled into the garrison feature though. Now the thing is, this garrison thing, it's like it doesn't feel like something that should just be Warlords, does it? You want to have your own garrison, a thing that lasts, that you build up from expansion to expansion. Like, what happens to the people who really enjoy this garrison gameplay if we go into the next expansion and the garrisons don't exist? Well, obviously they have now forced themselves into a position where they have to continue doing garrisons. And yeah, it might be a little bit jarring after having to rebuild. So, yeah, I mean, okay, I don't think garrisons are going to be exclusive to this expansion, just sort of bring it back to the question. They need to be there because it's going to provide some gameplay that a lot of people are going to enjoy, and they're going to put a lot of work into garrisons. They don't want to just take this away, do they? No, I don't think they do. So yeah, garrisons will continue. They may alter or change, maybe they'll be more of a guild thing, but that system will persist into the next expansion, I'm pretty sure of it. It just comes down to the fact of, if you carve out some gameplay that a person enjoys in an MMO and then you cut it out, well, then you're just an idiot, because that doesn't make much sense. Let's see, so next question, it's from Undead Chaos, who says, do you think putting garrisons on Draenor and not Azeroth is a bad idea? At BlizzCon, they said that we would have no need to go back to our farm in Pandaria because we could get one in our garrison. So when Warlords of Draenor is over, do we have to travel back to the old continent to play our garrisons, as opposed to putting them in Azeroth, where a large portion of the player base are located? So in the context of just the expansion, I think it's good that the garrisons are in Draenor, because it's like a forward expeditionary base against the Iron Horde. That makes complete sense, and I like it. Moving into the next expansion though, it's a bit jarring having to go back to Draenor to your old garrison. Well, it could be that maybe we end up building a new garrison in the expansion. This is also related to Xanus' question, but I think one idea is perhaps, maybe the next expansion is Rise of the Legion are attacking us. Well, then maybe we build a base as like a defensive fortification, and that is how they explain it. And then that new base that you would build in the next expansion has all the functionality and maybe some of the followers of your current Warlords of Draenor garrison. It's hard. They haven't said firmly what they're going to do, but I would like some sort of persistence, and I just like the idea of this garrisons feature being a World of Warcraft feature, not just a Warlords of Draenor feature. Next, we have a question from Jacob Cox. And yeah, he says, do you expect to see anything big for the Sea of Zangar? Do you think that we will see the world become Outlands during the expansion, perhaps endgame content or something like that? First of all, we're probably not going to see the world become Outland, because the creation of Outland was as a result of the First War and the Second War, and a whole bunch of different events, which were based on the orcs invading Azeroth. The timeline's going to play out differently, so the whole idea of it becoming Outland is not a foregone conclusion. This is an alternate timeline, not our own one, so events, like, it's like time means that, how do we say this? They're different timelines, okay? In our timeline, Draenor became Outland. In this timeline, what happens to Draenor is based on our actions during the next expansion. So there's that. As for the Sea of Zangar, I actually can't wait to see the place. I don't know if it's a full-on zone in the game, but it will at least be a place, and I'm sure they'll have art and, stuff there for it. It could be really cool. So Zangar Marsh itself is basically just the Sea of Zangar, but with no water. And what you'll notice is that a lot of the creatures in the Sea of Zangar, they kind of look aquatic. So they're essentially just devolved sea creatures. So I think the Sea of Zanger could be really cool. We'll see loads of like big sea monsters and this giant beasts. I don't really know what they're going to do in terms of leveling or questing there. I don't think it's a major zone. I think it's probably just going to be more like, I don't know, that gap near the middle of Outland where the it's just the twisting and you just kind of fly over it. Maybe, I guess in the way that sometimes we've had zones like the Vale or Crystal Song Forest, and okay, we won't have a big base there, but what I think could be interesting is if we do have little quests which take us to the Sea of Zanger from time to time to do some sort of interesting action. I'm not sure, really. They did say that it's not going to be a major leveling zone. At least I'm pretty sure they said that. Still, I think from an art perspective and an aesthetic one, it could look kind of fantastic. So let's take 2 more questions. First one from Wonal, who says, yeah, have you been recognized in game by people? Yeah, I have. It's actually the weirdest thing to me because, well, it's funny, this whole like 15,000 subscriber thing, it sneaks up on you, and I guess when something is a normal part of your daily life for a long time, it's just kind of regular. And that's what it's like just doing the videos and seeing the views come in. It's what you expect. But then when you actually see people in game, it's just like, oh yeah, holy shit, people. It's really nice, actually. It's cool, yeah. It's just weird, like, when someone says, are you the... And it's like, am I the me? I am the me. It was really funny, but it's gratifying. It's nice, you know, people are awesome. And I would eventually like, just to further that thing, I would like to eventually do some sort of streaming deal. I just, well, not, no, when I say deal, I just mean do streaming. I don't mean cut some sort of weird deal or something. I'd like to stream, but honestly, it's just kind of hard at the moment with scheduling problems in university. I just found out today via an email that they are bringing back the RFID tag system, where we have to walk around with RFID tags in our wallets so that they can record our attendance to lectures. Which is funny because most of the lectures are absolute wastes of time, unfortunately. I don't know. If I was in America, I'd be running around the place screaming that this is un-American and it's infringing one of my various amendment rights or something. But we don't have that here, so yeah, whatever. Finally, last question. That was a real derail there. Anyway, last question is from Magtherodon Apocalypse. Fuck. Aggressive name, end of the world. And he says, what is your opinion of them removing Axrama 60, old ZG and ZA? Do you think Blizzard could have just kept those things? Because it would have still made sense to keep them because they're in different timelines. And I think, yeah, actually, I would be totally okay with them keeping those places. Maybe they could just add in a different entrance if they really want to differentiate them. But, yeah, I mean, old Sol Grub, what if you want to go back there? Enjoy that, like, there was a whole rep thing there where you could collect these, like, idols, and there was the mounts. That was all content that, in today's game, when people go back doing transmog and all those things, it's all content that those people would have enjoyed, so I think that they probably would have been better off not removing that stuff. I guess Naxxramas level 60 it's nearly a solid copy of the original version. Like, it's really similar in terms of just the art and all that. I think it's nearly the same. So it's not as, I don't know, actually, yeah, screw it. I think old Nax would have been nice if it was still there, but yeah, I mean, whatever. It's not the sort of thing that we can change at the minute. And if you are a transmog person, at least you can take comfort in the fact that, well, we already can solo level 6 or level 80 raids. Like, Naxxramas will be absolutely no problem to solo. The same goes for those Cataclysm Heroics with ZG and ZA. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or anything like that, leave them either in the video description or on the subreddit. On the topic of the subreddit, go visit it, subscribe to it. The bigger it gets, the more discussions we have there, and Reddit's really, really awesome. And yeah, also if you want to have your comment actually seen by me or that kind of thing, usually YouTube comments work great, but sometimes I just can't reply. Like, the reply button's literally not there. Sometimes comments randomly get deleted, and sometimes they randomly get picked up by a spam filter. YouTube. It's a thing. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.